News Channel 8's Rod Carter is live with the group this morning en route to Washington, D.C. How's the trip been so far, Rod?
Hey, so far so good, Gail, to be honest with you, up until a point, and I'll explain that in just a second. I'm with one of several buses from the statewide NAACP on their way to Washington, D.C. to commemorate that march, and you can see the group is behind me here. The bus has stopped. We stopped to take a quick break for everybody to stretch their legs a bit, use the bathroom, all that good stuff, and to fix one crucial component on that bus, and that would be a belt for the air conditioning because it started to get a little warm, so we're kind of in a bit of a holding pattern right now. We've been in the trip for about 3 hours. We're in Baldwin, Florida right now. But again, the 55 people that you see behind me all boarded that bus about midnight this morning, headed for D.C. There are several people who are on the trip from Leesburg. There's some folks from St. Petersburg. There's a lot of folks from Hillsborough County. All of them, again, there to commemorate the March on Washington, the 50th anniversary of the March on Washington. And tomorrow there's the official event that takes place at the Lincoln Memorial, and there's also a number of speakers that will be speaking. You know, a lot of people back in 1963 who attended the March on Washington knew that they were a part of something that was historical, but perhaps did not realize just how historical that would be. I had a chance to sit down and talk one-on-one with a newspaper reporter, a former reporter from our area there in Tampa, to talk about being in the midst of that crowd, and he actually found himself covering the march quite by accident.
The March on Washington was an absolutely transformational event.
Jerry Blitzen was on the front line of history.
Everybody thought it would fail.
He was working in Congress in Washington, D.C. He was a newspaper man for the St. Petersburg Times when the march took place.
So I didn't have a press pass or anything, and I couldn't get up on the stage. But I had my White House press tag, and I wore that around my neck, and I could get through the crowds more or less that way.
The now 85-year-old remembers that day very vividly.
I never had seen that many people in one place in my life.
It was hot, he says.
Must have been 85 or so.
A long day, but no one complained, he said. Everyone, he says, peaceful, resolute, for the cause at hand, jobs and freedom.
Everybody also knew that if it was a peaceful march, the groundwork would be set for the passage of legislation in '63.
I was there as a reporter.
Blitzen, who showed me a picture of him and President Lyndon Johnson, says everyone was shocked
which is to my left,
to see some 250,000 people show up on that hot August day in 1963.
You know, that's a very long walk.
And walk to listen to speech after speech after speech and songs and declarations. He has very strong memories.
I guess my greatest memory was, I think, not Martin Luther King's speech, strangely enough, but John Lewis's speech.
John Lewis, who later became a congressman, was young and full of fire in '63. A fire Blitzen says some tried to quench that day.
He was a 23-year-old kid at the time, you know, and they tried to get him not to be so confrontational. So he did soften his speech. But what he said is, we've waited long enough.
But what Blitzen says he remembers most wasn't verbal, not even visual. It was emotional.
Everybody there had a feeling of hope.
So again, we're here in Baldwin on our way to Washington, D.C. We should be taking off here pretty soon and be back on the road. And I will see you guys in about 30 minutes with another update.